Interesting times in the UFC as its president Dana White announces to the world that we're going to be looking at quite a lot of fighter cuts before the end of this year. Now to some this may trigger a callback to when Dana defiantly stated that his company, the UFC, would not be laying off any of its staff in the face of the ongoing COVID-19 global pandemic. But to be fair to the promotion, they've done a pretty remarkable job at maintaining an admirable degree of consistency during these unprecedented times. I think they deserve a lot of credit for providing us with entertainment at a fairly steady pace, in a time where all other sports had ceased to do so. And on top of that, they had no way of knowing how long this entire ordeal would go on for. I'm not usually one for defending the practices of the UFC, but I felt like in this case, mainly for context, I would address that concern straight off the bat. So what exactly is going on? The competitiveness of the relationship between the UFC and the various other promotions who have gone up against them over the years has seen Dana & Co. carve out something of a monopoly in the sport. Sure, rivals like Bellator, Rizin, PFL and KSW all do good work, but one look at the history books, at the rise and subsequent fall of Strikeforce, WEC and Pride, companies that the UFC bought and absorbed, will tell you a lot about their business strategies. And yet, in the wake of recent comments by Dana, we now know that the promotion will be making some pretty substantial cuts to their roster. First it was Yoel Romero, then came the semi-retired but soon to return Anthony Rumble Johnson. You throw those two names into the mix in the Bellator light heavyweight division that already includes the likes of Ryan Bader, Lyoto Machida, Corey Anderson, Phil Davis and the champ Viktor Nemkov, and all of a sudden there are some hugely interesting matchups available. Obviously Romero may well fight at middleweight, but even there, with Gegard Mousasi and potentially even Douglas Lima making the rounds, who knows how the next year of marquee matchups will look like for Scott Coker if he can in fact bring these two in. The UFC's attitude towards their competitors has been a ruthless one, but if we are to assume that this move will make a considerable difference to the strength of their rivals in this business, the question then becomes, why are they cutting 60 fighters? Now I'm no expert in the inner workings of the world's premier mixed martial arts promotion, but even still, based on my own assumptions and what I've heard, here's what I can say for sure. As a result of the ESPN deal, the UFC are contracted to put a certain amount of shows on per year. A lot of you will already know this, and for most of that number, it will explain to you why the overall product we receive has been very up and down of late. Given how difficult it can be for the UFC to book fights in this climate, both due to travel restrictions and simple cases of athletes opting to sit out until the global pandemic is through, there really has been an effort on the part of Dana in particular to make a statement about the very game fighters within the roster. Khamzat Chimaev is clearly a huge talent, potentially the best prospect in the UFC right now. But in many ways, Dana, being the businessman that he is using Chimaev as a poster boy, sending out a message to his contractors that if you step up to the plate in this time of great uncertainty, great things can happen. Don't misread me, Khamzat is certainly worthy of the hype and the extra push he's getting, but the UFC always have an ulterior motive. If I may call this video to a halt for a moment, to anyone who's been watching our content over the last few weeks, you'll know what the drill is at this point, but we're really trying to up our game here at MMA Dive in order to bring you even more content every week. So if you are really enjoying what we're doing, be sure to leave a like and a comment on this video to let YouTube's algorithms know that we're fast becoming one of the best MMA channels on the platform. Obviously, if you haven't subscribed to the channel, make sure you do so now to stay up to date with all of our latest uploads. Okay, back to the video. So if I had to guess, Dana and his team are taking a long look at what they have to do. Fighters who perhaps earn more than the UFC deem necessary to spend right now. As it has been said before, with an influx of talent coming in from Dana White's Contender Series, spots on fight cards can be filled with a marketable, rising, hungry talent for a cut price. It doesn't matter if they're as good as the proven veteran who perhaps gets his walking orders. So yeah, I think the UFC are going to be making some shrewd business decisions here, opting to chop off any dead wood, or overly expensive wood. They, like all of us, did not foresee a year that would be completely unrecognizable from what we're all used to. With no live gates from physical ticket sales, the company is definitely suffering. How much? I don't know. But these cuts are coming more from a place of desperation than one of any sort of supposed rebuilding. I'm not condemning them for it, they're acting as a business should act, but I wanted to outline that, I suppose. So who is in danger of getting the axe? Well, I think it's a bit disrespectful to make something of a top 10 fighters who better watch out kind of list. These are world-class athletes, all of them, and no matter what happens, it's going to be an unfortunate time for a lot of them. But as a general overview, Fighters who are on losing streaks should naturally be the most worried, ones who perhaps don't seem to be showing any potential as far as marketability or overall competitiveness is concerned. The UFC's contract structure works in such a way where you earn more based on the amount of hoops you jump through over the years. Veterans, legends, and fan favorites are kept, often on good faith, and the fact that they're still a fun name to stick onto a main card. However, in this situation, where a grand total of 60 cuts are looming, I would imagine that a lot of the older names, perhaps just shy of legend status, could be in danger. Mid-level, gatekeeper-like fighters are an essential part of any promotion's roster. They serve a very strong purpose in the overall scheme of establishing an elite upper tier, and obviously there are far too many fighters within this bracket to single out. But given that Dana's entire mantra behind the Contender Series is to favor fighters who bring an electric style to the table, I think that those fighters who have something of a quote-unquote boring style will be looked at here. Your career's future projections, age, marketability, potential, your fighting style, I think these factors are what Dana and his team will be looking at when they make all of the cuts that they have promised. I feel as though we will see everything from top 10 fighters on the decline to old reliables get the axe before all is said and done. But look, if it is an unavoidable thing, then all we can do is kind of look forward to a slightly stronger global product as far as MMA is concerned. I know that I'll be certainly more inclined to tune in to watch Rumble or Yoel Romero compete as soon as they do settle into their new homes. So let's just see what happens. Who do you think the UFC will have cut by the time 2021 rolls around? Say if you had to give a list of 5 names that were set to get their walking orders. Be sure to let us know in the comments section below. We really do love to hear from you guys. If you enjoy this content, be sure to leave a like on this video before subscribing to the channel to stay up to date with all of our latest uploads. And as always, thank you for watching.